Welcome to this explainer, Case File, The Small Town Disappearance. All right, I want you to step into my shoes for just a second. Imagine you're the lead investigator on a case that literally paralyzed a quiet, totally unsuspecting town. My job, it isn't to get caught up into local rumors or the panic. No, it's to follow the forensic evidence, trace by meticulous trace. So let's dive into exactly how we build a narrative out of thin air when someone simply ceases to be where they're supposed to be.
I mean, really think about it. How does someone vanish without a single trace on a perfectly normal evening? It's the exact question that keeps detectives like me awake at night. Now, in the forensic world, we have this golden rule. It's called Locard's exchange principle, and it basically says that every contact leaves a trace. You literally cannot enter or leave an environment without leaving something behind or taking something with you. So when a young person walks out of their home on a quiet night and just never comes back, no calls, zero digital footprint, no physical trace whatsoever, it creates this terrifying forensic vacuum. The total absence of evidence actually becomes our most glaring piece of evidence. It tells us right away this wasn't just a spontaneous walk around the block. Something abruptly stopped their normal pattern.
And look at how fast the whole situation went downhill. As investigators, time is absolutely our worst enemy. Just hours prior, we've got a perfectly normal baseline. Devices are stationary, routines are totally normal. But then we hit time zero. The subject leaves. From a digital forensic standpoint, their phone stops pinging cell towers, the text messages completely cease, and the grid just goes dark. Boom. Within hours, the family reports them missing, and a massive police investigation kicks off. By the way, we don't wait 24 hours to start looking. That is a complete Hollywood myth. When a baseline deviates this sharply, we deploy immediately, because physical evidence degrades by the minute. So that immediate deployment plunges us right into a really chaotic reality. You've probably seen it on the news, the flashing red and blue lights slicing through the dark, the yellow crime scene tape everywhere, desperate search teams scouring the woods and suburban streets. But as the lead investigator, I don't actually see chaos. I see a massive containment effort. That tape? It's there to preserve the macro scene. Those search teams are walking in strict, shoulder-to-shoulder grid formations, looking for anything, disturbed dirt, dropped items, biological evidence. We are literally trying to freeze the environment so our forensic techs can comb through the darkness and find that one singular thread to pull.
And that initial containment really sets the stage for our whole process. Step one was the physical grid search, which honestly gave us absolutely nothing in the immediate area. But step two changed the entire game. We found a broken phone miles away from the subject's last known location. Now that is a massive forensic red flag. A phone doesn't just migrate a few miles down the road on its own, right? We rushed this straight to the digital forensics lab for a data extraction. Step three involved canvassing the exact route between the house and where the phone was dumped, which actually led us to a CCTV camera. We're methodically layering the physical space with digital data to basically force a trail into existence.
But look, forensics isn't always a magic bullet. Take a look at this anomaly. We pulled that CCTV footage really hoping for a clear image, maybe a license plate or a face. Instead, we got this incredibly glitchy, low-resolution video of a shadowy figure. As an investigator, let me tell you, this is beyond frustrating. Instead of giving us answers, this visual evidence just dragged us deeper into the mystery. Like, who is this figure? The suspect? A random witness? The victim? We ran frame-by-frame enhancements. We analyzed the gate, the shadow geometry, the whole shebang. But the digital artifacting was just too severe. The hard evidence was literally taunting us. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates exactly why we investigators prefer physical and digital forensics over human memory any day of the week. While the tech lab was pulling their hair out over the CCTV, my detectives were out interviewing neighbors. Witness A gives this super definitive, confident account of seeing a vehicle at 9 p.m. But then Witness B, who lives right next door, has a completely contradictory timeline, swearing up and down the street was totally empty until midnight. Human memory is incredibly malleable, especially in high-stress cases that are splashed across the local headlines. This conflict completely muddied our forensic timeline. We couldn't rely on what people thought they saw, we had to rely solely on what the data could actually prove. But as much as I fixate on data, extractions, and timelines, you can never ever forget the human element. It's this constant, agonizing struggle with fear, hope, and heartbreak for the family. Sitting across from them in the interview room is like walking a psychological tightrope. We're asking these deeply invasive questions, taking DNA swabs just in case we need to make an identification, all while they're just suspended in this terrible state of ambiguous loss.
Grounding our cold, hard forensic facts with the intense emotional toll this takes on a family is absolutely crucial, because honestly, it's the engine that drives the investigation forward when the physical clues dry up.
Okay, so just when the case felt entirely deadlocked, the forensics finally started talking. And this brings us to a massive mid-story twist: the pivot. Remember that broken phone we found miles away? Well, our cyber lab actually managed to bypass the hardware damage and dump the memory cache. And what we found completely flipped the script. In an instant, the evidence shifted the entire direction of the case from this random, tragic disappearance to a narrative of highly targeted secrecy. The digital footprints, deleted apps, encrypted messages, hidden geolocation tags, they all pointed to a completely secret, hidden life that their family and friends literally knew absolutely nothing about.
Suddenly, the lens of our investigation snapped right into sharp focus. The extracted data gave us 3 distinct leads we had to chase down immediately. First off, a hidden relationship. The data pinpointed a secret meeting scheduled for the exact time the subject vanished, which lined up perfectly with our time zero. Second, it outlined a bunch of unknown suspicious activity, financial transfers, burner accounts. And suddenly, that shadowy figure on the CCTV started to make contextual sense. The missing person wasn't just walking out into the dark at random. They were deeply involved in something dangerous, and they were walking right towards someone they knew.
Which leads us to the final act, the final forensic conclusions of this case. And man, the truth was shocking. When we finally broke through the last layers of encryption and followed the digital money trail, we didn't find some random crime of opportunity. No, we uncovered a meticulously planned disappearance. We found a devastating betrayal from someone incredibly close to the victim, someone who had literally been sitting in the very same room with us, playing the part of a grieving friend. The contradictory witness statements, the smashed phone, the shadowy footage, it was all part of a calculated cover-up designed to hide the real crime. The forensics ultimately proved the intent, the planning, and the execution, leaving everyone in that small town just absolutely stunned.
So, as we officially close this case file, I want to leave you with a crucial question to think about. When a quiet town hides a dark secret, do the forensic clues ever really tell the whole story? I mean, we found the digital breadcrumbs, we analyzed the physical evidence, and yes, we solved the case. But forensics can only really tell us the how and the when. It often falls incredibly short of explaining the why. The human capacity for betrayal and deception is just something a microscope or a data extraction tool can never fully quantify. The main thing you should take away from this explainer is that while science can reconstruct the crime, understanding the darkness of the human heart that caused it, well, that remains the ultimate mystery. Thanks for joining me on this investigation. Keep your eyes open and question everything.